Hello, everybody, and welcome to WTF number 6, Wincast number 2. Again, joined this week by the new Oracle, the man otherwise known as Ghetto Tiger in our Discord. Nick, how you going, man?
Not bad, man. How are you? How good's the winning feeling?
I don't know how to feel. It's odd. I'm used
Yeah.
to waking up on Monday morning depressed, and I don't know what to do with all of this serotonin. It's
Yeah,
insane.
it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's funny too because this week there's been very little negative press.
Yeah.
There was a bit of an interesting article that came out today about an ex-NRL player who played one game for the Tigers that's on some pretty interesting charges, but they even avoided mentioning the Tigers in the headline. That
Yeah,
was
it's usually the first thing they mention, isn't it? Ex-Tiger who played half a game. Yeah,
ex-West Tigers star that played one
the
game.
tables are turning.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so we've obviously got one gigantic elephant in the room to talk about in the form of a Hoodoo snapping, Campbelltown and Canberra Hoodoo snapping massive flogging that you predicted. Well, you didn't predict the score, but you predicted the win, and you also
Yeah.
predicted a certain young Padawan 5'8" that about a week ago we all were off, and now we are all back on board with by the name of Lachlan Galvin. So my first question is, which god do you serve, Mr. Oracle? How did you manage to put that together?
Look, it was the god of Benji Marshall that I was worshipping, but yeah, that was pure luck. Like I said, I didn't want to speak a Raiders victory into existence, so why not the opposite?
I say we do it again this week, eh?
We will.
We've got just as big a hoodoo this week in the form of the James Tedesco-led Roosters, who we also have not beaten since 2018.
Yuck.
So one thing I've noticed, it seems to be always the way when we put back-to-back wins together is in our Roll 360 and the Matty Johns show, and it's the first thing they say is, have they finally turned the corner? And I've heard it one too many times, so I'm not willing to say that we've turned the corner. Are you?
Not yet, no. But if we beat the Roosters, look, I probably will say it. I said it after the Sharks game, which was round 3. And yeah, that was a bit premature, I guess. But if we beat the Roosters and can beat them convincingly, I'm all aboard.
Mate, I think, there's arguments for both, isn't there? Because as we pointed out last week, we rolled out one hell of an inexperienced side against a team that we have not had a good run against at a ground that we've had no luck at, and we pumped them. And we've now matched our total wins from last year and the year before, and it's only round 16.
How good. Yeah. We really did, yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about turning the corner, like we're still on the back streets. Maybe we've turned that corner. Maybe instead of the wooden spoon favorites now, we should be aiming for 14th or 13th.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? A nice little 14th finish.
Wouldn't that be nice? All right. So a couple of other things to get through before we jump into the Raiders review. Jared Reedy, should we bring him back? No, I don't think so. It's
ripping up that passport.
Yeah, I think we should probably try to get somebody maybe in Eastern Europe to abduct him.
I think so. Yeah, maybe he was the bad luck. I don't know, because he's disappeared and all of a sudden we're winning. So
absolutely, and I guess we have to talk about it. Stefano Utoikamanu did sort of allude to maybe having made his mind up about leaving. If that does turn out to be true, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, look, that was it pre-game on Sunday, his little interview he did.
Yeah, it was the second time in a couple of days that he'd sort of done an interview to that.
Yeah, that wasn't very promising, was it? Look, when he's playing good, he's an elite prop.
Yeah.
And we haven't had an elite prop since, I guess, your 2014 to 16 Aaron Woods, when he was killing it for us. So we can't afford to lose a player like that. It's just the consistency that he lacks. But if he gets that, he's still young. Yeah, we can't really afford to lose him. And I don't think we really have a backup plan. There's no good front rowers on the market. So we need to figure out something quickly. By all reports, that'll be done by either this week or next week. So
Yes, I don't know what to think. On one hand, I've seen this play out with other teams before where they lose a prop or a big forward name like that. And then, if you improve in other areas on the park, it can elevate the performance of players in positions like that. And Appy Coruscant is the sort of distributor who could get a lot of value out of, maybe lesser name props. And, while there aren't that many out there on the market, we just won a game against the Canberra Raiders without Clemmer, without Papali'i. So maybe we're underestimating the quality of some of these players that we've got coming through, especially players like, Sione Fainu, Ruben Porter. Maybe we can actually get some value out of them. But enough of that. Let's talk about this game. I want to ask you first, what is the reason that you think we won this game? Like, I mean, obviously you could look at it and just go, we blew them off the park, but like talking tactically, where did you feel like we actually managed to, get on top and stay on top? Did you see a semblance of a game plan? Was there something we did to actually catalyze this whole thing?
yeah, definitely. I think, well, the main thing that stands out to me was ball movement. Like all week, we're all saying, you can't get in this wrestle with that Raiders pack. We didn't have the pack to do that. So from the first set, the boys were spreading the ball, and it really worked. Down that left edge, like with Lockie and Dewey, we looked so dangerous, and Big Sammy on that edge, man. Like from the first set, we looked like we were going to bust them open. So I think that was probably the game, but I don't know if that comes down to Benji or Lachlan Galvin or Appy, just attack. Like we tried to do that last year and even patches in earlier this year where we try to play the all-out attack and it just comes off so scrappy, but it looks so polished on the weekend, which is, I don't know if it's a bit of cohesion with all the players actually getting minutes together. But I think the game plan was to just spread the ball and, back yourself. And it seemed to have worked.
Yeah, one thing that I mentioned last week was that I think if we were a chance to win, we needed to start fast and put the Raiders under pressure because they had inexperienced players in key positions in the 6 and the 7 and the 9. Well, Danny Levi's experienced, but, he's not that much chop. And I think that worked. We got off to that quick start and suddenly the Raiders were pushing the passes and having to play a little bit too hard and just couldn't pull it off until they got on that run. But by the time they got on that run, it was all too late. So I want to shout out Adam Dwayne. Adam Dewey. Everyone keeps calling him Dewey. I don't know what I'm supposed to call him.
Yeah, I think Dwayne is a correct pronunciation, but yeah.
I'm feeling like I should be trying my best to pronounce it correctly, even if Andrew Voss and co don't do it.
Yeah.
What a return.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Huge.
I mean, if you look at his stats, he had over 200 meters. He scored a try, had 2 line breaks. There was a couple of like defensive misfires when they went on that run, but largely he held his own. I think he was up against Tomoko, which is no mean feat, like a strong center. And the speed on that intercept, where did that come from?
No, yeah. Even like when he was playing fullback, I never saw him as that fast of a player. We ran Weeks, who like Weeks is a quick player, man. Like you saw he burnt Adam Dewey to score that try.
And he, wrong-footed Buller
quite easily
on the outside. Yeah, no, that was. I wonder. I don't want to like downplay Adam too much, but I wonder if Weeks might have been gassed from that run, and maybe he actually didn't have the legs.
Maybe, but still, yeah, Dewey showed lots of.
But he did look quick.
He did look quick, but even like the hit ups he was taking in that first half, I mean, he was running like a back rower.
Mm-hmm.
He was screaming onto that ball, and like you could see how eager he was just to, I don't know, feel that contact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like really good signs from him, man.
Yeah, I remember mentioning last week. I thought he was going to be a smoky coming to the side. I thought he would come into the side. I thought it was planned, but as it turned out, the injuries actually what forced it in. So, but then one of the things I mentioned last week was that I feel like maybe in the offseason he might actually transition to the pack. I think that you said it yourself, some of those back roll like runs, I saw some runs that were like right up the guts like a prop, like he was taking middle of the field carries, looked like Isaiah Yo. He's really difficult to put down, even for forwards. He's a big lad, and I really think he might be able to do a job there, but can do a job at centre too. Where do you feel like, if Dewey's in the side in round 1 next year, do you feel like centre's the go, or do you expect somebody else to fill that role? I don't know if we actually have like a quality centre to put opposite Olam at the moment.
No, not really. We don't have like that, straight out center like Olam is. But yeah, the way Dewey played on the weekend as a center, you can't have him anywhere else. Like that is the type of performance you can't put him anywhere else. Like you're playing center, you play like that every week. He's the best player in the team.
Yeah,
you almost give him the captaincy.
Well, he's always wanted to be the Tigers captain.
Yeah.
Do you persevere with him on the left? Because he really seemed like he formed a good combination there with Galvin on the left and Sam Weller on the left. But that's Olam's spot. Do you bring Olam back on the left? Olam scored a lot of tries on the left, but what do you do there?
That's tricky because Olam is a specialist left center. I think he's played left center his whole career. I think Dewey, back in 2020, he was actually playing right center. Some games really well for us.
Yeah,
so he didn't play either, but if he's playing that good at the left with Lachlan Galvin and Samuel Afenu, I mean, you can't really put him anywhere else. But I dare say he's the type of player who would say, I'll just play wherever you need me. He's probably at that point in his career, coming back from injury. So
you're probably right. And I think like he was roaming so much, taking a lot of carries, you'll probably get nearly as much value out of him on the right anyway. And I think that he's probably somebody who next year when Luai comes into the team, I think Luai will probably end up being left side dominant. So Galvin will probably switch to the right next year because Luai plays mostly on the left, and Luai's going to have what he wants, I think. And Galvin, actually, I've seen him play a lot on the right coming through. So he's actually kind of capable of playing on both sides. So we might see that Dewey Galvin combination continue to persevere. Aside from Dewey, do you have anyone else you want to shout out? 3 players that you'd like to highlight, give a rap to?
Yeah, Dewey wasn't my man of the match. It was actually Samuel Afenu. I thought he was incredible. That was possibly the best back row performance I've seen in a Tigers jersey since Big Gareth Ellis. He was incredible. Obviously, Appy, you come to expect it from him, though, don't you? He puts those sort of performances week in, week out, even in badly beaten teams. So Samuel Afenu, Adam Dewey, Appy Coruscant, and to a lesser extent, obviously Galvin too. And I predicted he'd be man of the match. That was a real coming of age performance, wasn't it? And at lesser extent, I thought Sione Fainu was great too.
Yeah,
he looked really dangerous. You know what? Like even Buller had a shaky start to the game, but he came good in the second half. I mean, Luke Lally, what a debut. Scoring a try for your second touch of the ball, was it? Second or third touch of the ball.
Yeah.
Taking on Josh Papali'i like that was just, it's one of those sort of iconic Tiger moments, isn't it? Like when Chris Lawrence scored his try on debut, that sort of thing. So
good call
to say. Yeah,
no, good call. Definitely shades of that amazing Lawrence try that he scored. For me, I can't go past Galvin as man of the match. I just feel like every time he touched the ball, like he was just ripping them to shreds. Like I think there was a period of time there where like when he got the ball and off like the errant Caesar offload, and he just sort of stopped and just like looked around, and then he just like put on the toe, perfect bounce, happy scores. Like he's 18 doing things like that in a game against men at his home stadium with his mates. Goosebump stuff.
That was so mature, wasn't it? The way he just stopped and he saw Appy to his right and he just stopped and put that kick in. Even one of the commentators, the way his reaction to it, you could tell straight away he was just thinking far out. Like this kid is mature beyond his years. He's got a footy IQ of, Cameron Smith in his 30s.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, Joey Johns put the mock on him. I don't know if you watched the 9 broadcast or the
I did.
Broadcast. Yeah, Joey Johns started going, "Oh, Tigers, he might be the one. He might be the one."
Well,
I'm just glad he's come out. I'm glad he's come out and said, he's going to see out his contract. I don't like that he keeps saying he's going to see out his contract because that sort of implies that that's all he's going to do.
Yeah, he's leaving in the next 2 years.
But at least it gets us until the end of next year to buy some time. Hopefully, Jerome comes in and sells him the dream even more, and we can get him locked in. It's amazing to consider that we still have Latu Fainu to find a spot for, because Latu Fainu has been long considered the best halves prospect of his age group, if not like that whole generation of prospects to come through. Look, I agree with you. I think Sam Weller had an amazing game, but I think we look past Appy every week because he performs so well. I just think you gotta put him down as somewhere in the top three. And I think Dewey shaded Sam Weller slightly. I think if that try that Sam Weller set up with that falling offload had been awarded, might have gone Sam Weller. But the fact that it didn't actually count. It didn't. I got to give it to Dewey. That try, that intercept try at the end was iconic stuff. There were so many iconic moments in that game.
It was, yeah.
It really felt like an exorcism of the demons of both Canberra and Campbelltown.
It really did, yeah.
Especially considering, we had Heath Mason there, we had Kit Laulili, we had Luke, we had Lachlan. Adam Dewey coming back after he said that he was going to, lead the way. And he said, he's going to set the standards. And if the boys don't want to follow that, and then he did it.
It was yeah. Like he won me over with those comments that he did with Triple M 2 weeks ago, that interview he did. And for him to come out and play like that, it just shows where his heart is.
Yeah.
He wants to be here and he wants to be that leader amongst the young lads coming through. So yeah, that was awesome. That was the most enjoyable for a Tigers fan watching on a Sunday arvo in a long time. So,
oh yeah, it had shades of. And you mentioned earlier, you don't know whether it was Benji. So that looked like a 2005 Benji Marshall Scott Prince show to me. That was very similar to what that iconic Sharks game where Benji did that sidestep try. Moments in that game just really it did look like they were playing with that reckless abandon. And I think that's what he's been trying to coach. I think he's been trying to coach them to just, stick to the structures and be disciplined when it comes to, rucking it out and defense and stuff like that. But when the time comes to actually put a play on, back yourself and back up and actually go for it. Play what you see when you see it, have a crack. It's about finding that balance and working as a cohesive team. I think that in the past few weeks before last week, but in the past few weeks, it'd be Galvin doing it on his own and he's crabbing across field, not finding anybody. And it just looks ridiculous, but everybody seemed like they were in sync. Everybody seemed like they were going forward. I personally just think that they just were up for it. I feel like they just had the energy. There was just an energy about the place. And I think it really comes from the young guys. I think it's great. We will talk about this week's game and go through the team list. It's great that Laulili's named again. It's great that Mason's named again, because I think at this point, you just got to keep going with it because it's working. It's bringing energy to the team. And I think that, I heard an interview with Scott Sattler when he was talking about what it was like in that Penrith unit when he won the premiership back in the early 2000s with the likes of Luke Lewis and Trent Waterhouse and those guys, Craig Gower, old heads. He mentioned he was an old head and Craig Gower there is an old head, and they'd won the wooden spoon in 2001 or something. And he said when they brought in all of these young guys that had come through and been dominant and got used to winning, they just changed the culture themselves, and they reminded the older blokes what winning felt like and what winning looked like. They win the premiership within a season or two of that changing of the guard.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, isn't it? That confidence. Galvin, Lele, Kit, and your Talon, Samuela, they're not used to losing. They're coming into this squad of guys it's nothing against these players, your Twirls and, guys who have been Nadens have been losing for a while now, Naden to a lesser extent. So they're coming in with that confidence. They just want to win. And they were playing with such confidence, like you said, reminiscent of the Tigers of 2005. But they were also really disciplined on the weekend, which was I most impressed with. There was no silly penalties, maybe a few, but there was still tactics to it as well, line speed early on and attacking, the bombs every set. That made such a difference. There's little things that Benji's pushed on and make such a big difference, man.
One thing that I did notice after the game, and I was trying not, I just noticed it when I was picking through the stats. It wasn't like I was looking for something to be upset about, but I found this really bizarre. The penalty count in the end was 7-2 to Canberra. And in my experience, when a team is on the back foot and struggling, that's when they do things to try to regain momentum. That's when they'll strip. That's when they'll cheat the line. When you're ahead, you're not really needing to do that. You're ahead. So why push the envelope? Yet from the 18th minute onwards, we received 0 penalties and they received 6.
Yeah, it's one of those, like you said, going through the stats, if you didn't see the score, the final score of that game, and just looked at the stats, you would have think Canberra won that game.
100%. Yeah, I think I put it up on Twitter. It was like 53% possession. They had more meters. They had more less tackles, more line breaks, more tackle. They had everything. Everything go their way.
So it just shows, like we always say, like, we just miss out on those moments, but they really just took their moments and, made the Raiders pay every chance they got, really. And they had we had 4 bomb tries in the first half. It could have been 40-0 by halftime.
It could have been, that could have been a repeat of last year's Leichhardt Cowboys game if those early tries in the first half came off. It was vibing that way, and it ended up pretty close. Yeah. And it wasn't until the red nut agent of chaos, Alex Seyfarth.
Agent of chaos, yeah.
He comes out last week. I'm gonna turn a corner and be a disciplined player. Gets himself. He might be the first player at the Tigers this season to get sin bin twice, though. I think that up until now it would have been a different player every time.
You know what? That was harsh, that call.
It was.
Like, I went back because at the time, like, I didn't really see what happened. I went back and watched it. That was really harsh call on Alex. I don't think that would. I don't know. I was going to say, what happened to a Roosters player? What happened to a That's loser mentality.
It is, and especially considering who we're playing this week. And I guess that's a good time to pivot into talking about that this week. So we are playing the Sydney Roosters at 6:15 p.m. on Sunday night, last game of the round. And we are $4.45. The Roosters are at $1.21. And it's probably because the Roosters are in the top 4 at the moment, which is the first time in a couple of years. They're actually in good nick. Over the last couple of seasons, we've met them when they weren't in such good nick and they still pumped us. So Roosters home game. I mean, last week I didn't feel confident because, Canberra have the wood on us and we were playing terrible at Campbelltown. Here we are. We're lining up yet again with against a team that nobody will give us a chance to beat. Interestingly, we have, just like against Canberra, we have not beat them since 2018. And did see an interesting stat. I think it comes up every time we play them. But Daniel Tupu has lost to the Tigers once in 14 games in his entire career. And he's 400 years old. So hopefully this might be the last chance we have to beat him in a game, because there's words that the word is that this is his last season at the Roosters. So
I'd love to know how many tries he scored against us.
A lot, yes. I think I didn't quite catch the number, but I think he has scored the most tries against the Tigers of anybody currently in the NRL. Yeah, I think by a mile. Let's read the team. So this week we've got at fullback Jari Buller, obviously. Largely an unchanged team. On the wing, Solomon Afatape and Luke Laulili. In the centers, we got Brent Naden and Adam Dwayne, Galvin and Caesar in the halves, Stefano Toikamano and Bolle, the other props, Api Coruscant is the hooker, Porter, Fainu, Madamu the back row. It is an unchanged top 13 from the team that, not the team that was named, but the team that ran out. The only real change is on the bench. David Clemmer has returned at the expense of Kit Laulili, who drops to the 18th man. Heath Mason, Sione Fainu and Alex Seyfarth retain their positions. So really the only change there from the team that ran out is Clemmer coming back in for Kit Laulili. Seems a logical choice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he adds a bit more than Kit at this point in his career. It's nothing against Kit. Clemmer, you're going to get decent meters out of him. Really, high tackle efficiency and, very meat and potatoes footy, but that's kind of what you need against a team like the Roosters.
It's the first time I can remember seeing David Clemmer line up without Alex Twal in the team in quite some time. And I've always sort of had the opinion that we kind of only can have one of them. It kind of actually is a balanced looking pack when you look at it.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like Bolle and Utokamanu together. I think they're a pretty dynamic front row pair. So, yeah,
Yeah.
at the moment, it's a nice balanced pack.
I would agree. Interestingly, we have some seriously experienced names that have been named on the extended bench. Charlie Staines returns, John Bateman and Justin Olam all named on the extended bench. Of those three, only Charlie Staines is named in New South Wales Cup. Do you expect any of those three to actually come into the side?
Potentially Justin Olam. I mean, he's not going to play Cup, is he?
Well, he's not named there. But I mean, if they're healthy enough and they don't get named to play for the Tigers, surely you play them in New South Wales Cup.
So it's hard to change a winning team. But I mean, the thing that scares me the most with the Roosters is those giant wingers they have.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Dominic Young and Daniel Tupou up against Solomon Fatape and Luke Laulili doesn't fill me.
The Hobbits. Yeah.
Luke Laulili is a little bit bigger than I think people think he is. But at the same time, Adam Dwyer is a skyscraper and he's out there in the centres. So he will.
Nathan, yeah.
And Nathan's not a short man, but he also has dick fingers, so he'll probably I don't know how good he will be under the high ball. I mean, it's not as though Charlie Staines and Justin Olam add height, so we're kind of screwed it either way. Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like it seems likely to me that both Bateman and Olam will both come in. I don't mind it if they do. I'd probably be inclined to. I don't know. If Olam comes in, it'd probably be at the expense of Fatape and Nate moving to the wing. But I don't know if that's what I would do. I would probably just leave Fatape there because isn't he a little bit of a lucky charm?
He is, yeah. He's what? Every game we've won this year, he's played in. So
4 from 6.
4 from 6. That's a great record for the West Tigers player, isn't it?
I think he might hold the record for the winningest West Tigers player who's played 6 games. Like you'd have to go close.
He would for sure, yeah. So
unless there was somebody there in that eight game win streak 2005 team that like was only here for like maybe who was in 2005 that wasn't around very long. Maybe one of those
guys. Collis, man, maybe someone like that.
He didn't debut till 06. Maybe somebody like Elford. Okay. Maybe somebody like Elford might be
the
West Tigers player because he was there in just 2004 and 2005. But yeah, John Bateman, I mean, you'd probably bring him. If they do decide to persevere with Bateman, you know, to me, it's interesting because I don't really want to see him replacing any of the bench players, Mason, Finu, Seafarth or Clemmer. I would expect he probably comes straight in for Porter and Porter would miss out completely, which seems it seems a bit weird to think that somebody could drop out from the starting lineup. Either that or maybe you move Matamua back to New South Wales Cup and have Bateman play lock. I don't know. That's also an option.
I don't mind that, but he's so sporadic, isn't he, Bateman? He adds a lot of defensive structure, but Matamua, like he's playing that link role really well. Like he has lapses in defense, but I don't think I'd want to see Bateman come in and play lock. And I wouldn't want to see him come in and replace Porter too. Like he's been, you know, not that inspiring, but he's been solid. He hasn't really made any mistakes.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting. We're now suddenly we suddenly have confusing decisions to make.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like a few months ago, like Bateman's available. He's playing regardless. Like you need him. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what winning does.
I think it might be a little bit like I would probably want Bateman just because of who we're up against because they got some dogs. They got Brandon Smith and Victor Radley, Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. Like feel like we kind of could get bullied out of the game if we don't have like mature heads in the pack. Like it's like I mean I thought the same thing against the Raiders, but at the same time I think that the Raiders were very out of sorts. I think that they kind of got rattled early on and they just didn't have their heads in the game. So it'd be nice if the Roosters turn up with that same level of intensity.
Well, they just thought they'd roll straight through, didn't they? The power game that's just troubled us for so long against the Raiders, like even in round 2 this year.
Well, it's funny because like if you look at the stats, Stefano and Bolle only had about 80 odd meters each, and the starting props for the Raiders both had over 100. Tapine nearly had 180. So they I don't think it was the props that were the issue. I think we just went around their team and just exploited them on the edges and. Just basically didn't let the props getting on top of us cause us too much grief. So, but here we've got Terrell May, Warrior-Hargreaves in the middle, Lanu, Nafai White, who's in great form. He's a great player. And Lindsay Collins, that's a hell of a pack. That's a
Yeah,
hell
that's a
of a
that's a top tier pack, isn't it?
Yeah, and then on the edges, Victor Radley and Angus Crichton. And Angus Crichton
Oof.
in arguably career best form. So it's hard to see where we're going to be able to exploit them. Let's just have a quick look at the lineup in full here. The only out for them is the suspended Junior Ponga. Fullback James Tedesco, wingers Daniel Tupper and Dom Young. Satili Tupanua playing centres. That's probably the only exploit I see. Joey Manu, Luke Keary and Sam Walker in the halves. Jared Warrior, Hargreaves and May and the other props. Brandon Smith is at hooker. Crichton, Radley and Watson back row. Spencer Leniu, Nafai White, Nat Butcher and Lindsay Collins on the bench. Strong team.
Oh, man. Yeah, like on paper, that's probably the best squad in the NRL.
It probably is, and I was actually thinking to myself before the weekend, like last week when I was looking at the Roosters, I was like, are they back? Like, are the Roosters actually genuinely a threat for the premiership again? Like, because this is a strong side.
Yeah, when they're firing, they're such a good team to watch, and they're just everywhere, like great pack, great backs. Like they're so hard to beat when they're firing. But I think, like you just said, they may be back.
Yeah, but we're going to win this game.
Oh, we're winning this game. Yeah, they'll probably win next week though.
Yeah, I think I don't know. The blood, the oracle, the blood's coming. You know what I mean?
The blood's definitely coming. That's a fact.
I don't know. Like, it feels like these boys are getting a little bit of that like underdog fire in the belly, chip on their shoulder. Like, and I like it. Like, I like it, and they're playing for each other. They've got some spirit. They got some ticker. I don't know if we win, but I don't think the Roosters are going to run all over us. I think that we're gonna shock them, and hopefully that's enough to really rattle a team that might be looking past us. I know we've had a couple big wins, but surely the Roosters are still going to just have this penciled in as an easy day. Surely they're just going to think that they can just rock in and just have their way with it. Surely.
Yeah, I think that's what Canberra did, and the Roosters. Essentially Canberra on steroids, but they could just think like we'll just get them straight through the middle and we don't have to really do anything flash. That's what I just hope from the young lads. Even if we are losing, that they still just play their game. They still try to score points. They don't try to play conservative, which every single West Tigers team in history is terrible at.
100%. It's the spirit of the team. And like, I think that was the whole point of actually going back to the '05 crew and putting them in charge, is to play like a Tigers team.
Yeah.
Like, we've had so many coaches over the years that have come in and tried to like remodel the like DNA of the club and turn us into the Panthers or turn us into the Storm. And it just doesn't work.
Well, we just can't do it.
I don't know. It's something, maybe it's the high vis colors of the jersey or something. It's just some weirdness. Look, I want to ask you, if you were like coming up with the tactics, aside from play some footy, because obviously, it's a bit of a cliche, like, do you got any tactics? Like, where do you see us potentially being able to actually get enough points to outscore them, to put more points on the board than they're going to put on for us? Because obviously we're going to have to do that.
Yeah, it's going to have to be on the edges again, like when we, beat Canberra on the weekend, because it's not going to be through the middle. It could be, but maybe, offloads still go a long way against a team like the Roosters. If we can get their line just, a bit uneven, people coming out of the line, a bit of broken field play will go a long way. Someone like Dewey and Buller, they can really expose that sort of thing. So, and Galvin too, he's amazing at that. So yeah, on the edges again, outside backs. It's the same tactic as last week. Yeah, I think
Same
so.
game plan. Yeah, fair enough.
Contest for bombs is a big one.
What's that, sorry?
You need Buller contesting every bomb that goes up to Teddy. You need him contesting for all of those.
Yeah, that's a good point. That seems to be working quite well. Hey?
Works really good on the weekend, yeah. Even though, like, half the time they just try to bat it back too, but, there's play then.
They're just getting away with the disruptor thing.
Like, yeah. So it works really good on the weekend. Yeah.
The good old NRL with its round one rule book. I think I agree with you. I think that we probably just do the same thing in attack. I think I feel like one key here is going to be attacking with our defense, which we did a bit against the Raiders. And I think putting them on their heels a bit, stinging them. I feel like, we really need Stefano to take it straight at Jared. Like, I feel like if we can really get some tone set and he can take it to Jared. Like, Stefano's capable of putting somebody on their ass when they try to tackle him. Imagine if he puts Jared Warrior-Hargreaves on his ass in the first couple of sets.
It would set the tone, wouldn't it?
Or Sam Welafino comes up and puts a hit on Radley and pisses Radley off. Gets under his skin. I feel like those two boys really need to take this as this is a statement game for both of them. I feel like, otherwise that pack has the potential to really climb on top of us and cause us a lot of grief.
Yeah, there's two sort of, the cliches, all the good teams do, play the ball speed and line speed. And I think we've actually gotten a little bit better at those in the past few weeks. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And because I think that we probably need to take the fight on them, it kind of makes me feel like Bateman and Olam are kind of key inclusions here. I think you Olam obviously whacks, so he and Bateman is niggles, so they're both dogs. I'd want them both in. I think to your point, Porter does a job. He's pretty solid, and Matamua does bring that link man. But Matamua was playing pretty low minutes. I think in both games he's only played half an hour in total. Yep. Which is really odd. I don't know why he's starting if he's only playing half an hour. But I could also see Bateman playing on the bench instead of Mason. I think that because then you can bring Bateman on after about 20 minutes and just let him be a maniac. Just go on there and be John Bateman, the halfback, if you want. Just do some stuff. As long as we're on top. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to say about this upcoming Roosters game before we move on to to our regularly scheduled pathways?
No, not really. I just sort of hope some of those players that are playing Origin don't back up. No, I don't want them to, I'm not saying for them to get injured, but maybe they just, get a cork or something.
Yeah. Well, I think last Origin, I managed to predict Reece Walsh getting his head knocked off.
Oh, so. You did actually.
Yeah. So maybe I'll throw out a lazy prediction or two. Who do we want out?
Collins.
You want Collins out?
I would say Crichton, but I want New South Wales to win. So,
so Leniu, Collins, and Crichton are the three, kind of, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah. All right. We'll see what I come up with a little bit later in the show. Let's discuss pathways, and we're gonna have the debut this week of a brand new track that was put together by our good friend of the show, AJ, who had put together that beautiful intro track that everybody loves. He's put together a song that he made based on a Discord recording that I did when I was drunk about our friend Jordan Miller. So without further ado, here's Miller Watch. Come down to Cambo, take a ride with me. Enjoys his pile and enjoys his cake. Opposition for its saucy taste. He's a rough and tough 48 guy. Jordan Miller, the world's largest mad guy. All right, so Miller Watch sucks this week. Geordie, what are you doing, mate? I heard, I didn't watch, again, unfortunately, it wasn't broadcast this week, or I probably would have watched it. But I heard Jordan Miller got yoinked from the field because he let in 2 tries, and then Shannon Gallant, Mighty Mouse himself, tried to give him a bit of motivation, and Geordie gave him a bit of a get out of my face. What are you doing, Jordan Miller?
Well, you're the king. And our role player now, so yeah, he's a rock star attitude.
I don't like that, Jordan. Your face is on the banner of the West Tigers Faithful Twitter. You are our mascot. Behave, son. Pull your head in and get back to doing what you do best, and that's eating pies and scoring meat pies, mate. Okay. So the big fella had only 28 minutes, 5 runs for 41, 10 tackles, 1 missed tackle, and a 31-meter kick.
That's strange. Yeah, that's not great, is it? For someone who's touted as a future prop for us, an elite prop, that's
no,
not a great week for Miller Watch.
Especially considering we were ahead. We were winning this game yet again. This like 40-minute Magpies, mate. They are doing my noggin in.
Well,
When he came on, we were ahead.
I can't think of one New South Wales Cup game this year where we've been blown away in the first half. Like
Nah,
every
been in
first half we've competed.
Yep.
And even winning. I think it was, what was it at halftime? It was 10-4 at halftime.
So I must ask, is Aaron Payne just a shit coach? Like, what's the go here?
I think he might be. I don't know. He's some of his selections are wild too.
I think the fadeaway is probably just because, like, this side's so young. They don't play out 80-minute games in flag. They don't play 80-minute games in ball. I don't know. I guess they just don't. They're just not used to playing a solid 80 because they usually start to get blown away around 60, and like 60-minute games is pretty normal in the lower grades. I would have hoped they'd have been a bit more fit, a bit more ready, but I guess that's the most logical conclusion is that they just don't have the fitness.
And there's another cliche. They don't really have that leadership in that team. Like who's steering that team around? Like it's being led by, Valvatu. Is he probably
Valavatu seems to be the on-field leader.
And the what's the other bloke? Kobe Wilson? Is it Kerr Wilson?
Kobe plays in flag.
Yeah.
You talking about Kane Nicholas?
Sorry, Kane Nicholas too. He's a lock, isn't he?
He's a former captain. There's a lot of like young leaders.
Yeah, but, a lot of cup teams that usually have that seasoned NRL player who sort of comes down and steers the ship. There's no one like that in that team. It changes every week. So.
Well, New South Wales Cup legend Jaden Sullivan returns to the side this week to partner Declan Casey in the halves. What are you doing, Aaron Payne? Why is Declan Casey playing 6?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? I mean, he hasn't played 6. As far as I'm aware, he was not a 6 junior. He was a center and potentially fullback and maybe a winger. And we've been playing with 6. It's like when we had Naden playing halfback early in the year in New South Wales Cup. So yeah,
I don't know. Aaron Payne might be some sort of mole like the Cowboys have sent to undermine our pathways, I think.
We signed from the Bulldogs last year. Was it Iverson Matai?
And he's playing flag.
And he's quite an astute player. He's got a good short kicking game, decent long kicking game, good pass selection. Yep. If you want to get in as your backup, half or even NRL, you have him playing New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, and we also have recently brought back Zane Camro from Redcliffe Dolphins, who's playing Ron Massey Cup. And he's played New South Wales Cup for the Magpies before relatively well. We've got Ibrahim in the flag team that doesn't always play every week in the flag, and he's pretty good. Like I've seen good signs from him. There's options. I mean, like you would think like Casey at 6 wouldn't even be as useful as Valavatu or even like Bailey Hodges. Like it's really weird to me. I don't understand it. I want to ask though. Last week we debuted Johannssen Watch, and this bloke. He's a freak. This bloke is, I think, unlucky not to be already named in the extended bench for first grade, if not outright in first grade. He has seemingly become the next cab off the rank because Miller's now on the bench this week. Johannssen is in the front row. Who's partnering him? Who's the other front rower this week? You got that up there? It's Herman Tofiono, yeah. So Johannssen on the weekend had amazing, like versus Miller, night and day. And Miller got hooked after 6 minutes. Tim Johannssen came back on the field and stemmed the bleeding a little bit.
67 minutes.
67 minutes, primarily because Miller got hooked. So
yeah, 184 meters off 18 carries.
Yeah,
that's screaming to play NRL to be. That's a huge effort.
Line break, 10 tackle breaks, 30 tackles.
Wow.
He topped the tackle count and the meters for the Magpies on the weekend. 5 missed, but I mean, when you're playing 67 minutes and you're doing pretty much a lone hand, you're going to get tired in the back end and miss some tackles. So this bloke is a great find, and I really hope that they give him some minutes in the NRL because he might be one of the stories of the NRL this year. And you know what? If we lose Stefano, maybe he's the answer.
Yeah, maybe. You mentioned last week we were talking about his stats and that he's really been stepping up. You even mentioned last week that he'll probably push for an NRL debut within the next month or so. So, yeah, hopefully.
I'm usually pretty on the ball with stuff like that. I called the Miller one early.
Pretty accurate.
But yeah, like, I don't know. Like last year, for those who don't know, Tim Johannssen, he was signed for the Bulldogs last year. Played in the flag team that made the GF. I think won the GF. Did they
Yep,
win?
they did win the GF. Yep.
And if you read up some of the fan comments, apparently he was excellent in that. And then in the off season, when they found out that he wasn't coming back, there was a lot of like surprise because he was one of the better players in that team last year. Disappeared, it reemerges as a right eastward hawk, and luckily enough, we've got him in our system. And I feel like we have to take advantage of this. Like when you look at the fact that he's outperforming Tony Sokar, he's outperforming Jordan Miller, he's outperforming Chris Fungutu, he's outperforming Kitla Lee, Lachlan Brodolo, all these kids that are either like signed to top 30 or have future development contracts. What are you doing if you don't give this guy an NRL contract for next year or at the very least a development contract?
Yeah, I certainly hope he's in the club's plans because we haven't really had a gun front row come through our New South Wales Cup team in a long time. So to see those sort of numbers and a team is losing it's quite promising.
And and he has a younger brother, another prop named Noah, who's playing flag, who took a little bit longer than I think Noah came through the Sydney Shield team and has broken through to the flag team and is starting prop in flag. So,
Yeah.
so maybe like we seem to be becoming a bit of a club of brothers. Maybe this is the next. Maybe we finally got some brothers that don't have apostrophes in their surname.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So another interesting thing that happened on the weekend was because of Luke Laulili getting the call up, the tall Ipaxi Jimmy Nutlek got his first minutes and probably his last because he got injured after 15 and he's gone, which is a very sad story because this bloke is a very talented young PNG player who I would love to see push through and partner Olam at least once. It would be amazing for PNG, a country that loves this sport, that are trying to put together a team to imagine what it'd be like in PNG. Jimmy Nutlek, Justin Olam in an NRL side just one time. It'd be incredible, and I hope he's not too hurt. I hope we see him again. I don't know yet whether his injury is keeping him out of Ron Massey Cup this week, but he's not named in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, I read somewhere he re-injured his knee, the same knee that put him out last year. So that's horrible for him. And like anyone who watched him in the World Cup 2 years ago saw what he can do. Like, I think he scored like an 80-meter try. Yeah. He had wheels for a big lad too. Like you said, for the nation of PNG, if they had them two lining up next to each other, they'd be so ecstatic. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen or if anyone listening seen like PNG rugby league fans on social media.
Yeah, they're different.
They're hilarious. They're so fanatical.
And they're so nice.
They're so nice.
They don't get into the banter and like hang shit on people. They're just complimenting everybody.
Yeah. And they've jumped on the West Tigers bandwagon because of Justin Olam. So if we had him and Jimmy together, man, it'd be so good.
When I went to the Redcliffe Dolphins versus Tigers game at Suncorp earlier in the year, not the Magic Round game, but the first one, I went to the Caxton after the game, and there was at least 30 Papuans at the Caxton, and I went and started having a conversation with them and asked them, I was like, are you here for Olam? And they're like, yeah, just here for Olam. They're wearing Tigers gear and stuff like that. And I was like, where'd you come from? And he's Papua New Guinea. Like, wow, what do you mean?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
amazing.
you guys literally flew here from Papua New Guinea to watch Justin Olam play at Suncorp. Yep. These are just literal Papuans. It's not like, they were like Papuan bloody Aussies. They were like actually like, proper Papuans. And yeah, to imagine that, how much of their like annual salary they must have spent to fly to Brisbane to watch Justin Olam play. And they didn't even win, the pricks.
Nah.
Got a win for the Papuan fan base. Jersey Flegg had a loss, but it wasn't that bad of a loss. Didn't really look into it in too much detail. Navrin Willett has been pushed back to Flegg, and for the first time this year, a young fella who's got a bit of raps about him, Finley Nielsen, who is another clone in the Bailey Hodges, Kane Nicholas mold of Cameron McInnes clones that we seem to be just manifesting, but I don't know if we're ever going to push them through to playing in the top grade because we seem to have these like type A amazing young juniors that we're pushing through. So we're not having to bring through Alex Seafarths anymore. So hopefully,
don't knock him. He had another decent game on the weekend.
Alex Seafarth, he sure did. Yeah, we didn't even mention him. 140 meters, great game. But hopefully, Flegg turn around and have a good performance this week because they're having a great season. All right, final tips for the Roosters game: score and man of the match. It's all up to you, mate. You got us a win last week. Get us another one. How much are we going to win by?
All right, so final score will be West Tigers 18, Roosters 16. Man of the match, Dream Buller.
Oh, I like it.
And it'll be a come from behind victory.
I like it. It.
It'll be a nail biter, like all our games are. But yeah.
I'm gonna refrain from saying what I think. I do like your Dream Buller man of the match prediction because I feel like he's starting to re-find that form from last year.
I think so too. Like besides the 2 drop balls in the first half, he was pretty good. He looked dangerous every time he got the ball, didn't he? Every time he went wide, especially to that left side, he looked like he was going to go through.
Yeah, I think he's starting to find his combination with Lachlan. I think up until the Canberra game, he wasn't chiming in when Lachlan was trying to bring Fainu and Olam and whoever on the conveyor belt of left wingers we had out there at any given time was. When Buller comes across and actually adds himself to that shift, it just creates that extra man. And Lachlan is so good at figuring out which pass to deliver and when. He's not afraid to put the ball out early enough if he thinks that's the play. Doesn't hold on to it too long, like Luke Brooks always used to bloody do. And if he does hit the line, he's capable of actually beating a man or actually offloading. So I do like that tip on Buller. I'm just gonna let your prediction hang, and I'm gonna say that's our prediction. That's the Oracle Cast's prediction, and that's the end of the show for this week. Thanks so much for coming back, Nick.
No,
if we win again, I might have to make it a permanent fixture.
Yeah, well, look, not if we win, when we win. So
when we win again. Let's hope, eh? Let's hope. It's a pretty hectic next few weeks, and a win here. Oof, jeez.
We got what Roosters? Is it Storm? Roosters Storm Sharks.
Roosters Storm Sharks, and then there was also Rabbitohs in there who are on a bit of a run. So it's a tough few weeks, and 4 away games out of the next 5 as well.
Ooh, we're up for it.
We are. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Nick, and everybody for listening. We appreciate it. And hopefully we will be back again next week with Wincast 3 and episode 7. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.